Last month, we tabled this item, and we need to bring it back onto the table for discussion and possible action. Yes, I do. Okay, motion by John, seconded by Bill to move the Trainer gravel pit conditional use application back on the table for discussion and possible action. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. First thing, I want to thank the board members. I know we've had lots of time devoted to this issue, and also the public. It is a big item, and I think we need to look at it seriously because it is such an important project. We had several questions that needed clarification as a result of last month's meeting. Our purpose is to find and answer these questions and then to deal with the facts. So, to clarify the facts, I would like the P&Z board to use the review sheet, which is provided for you along with the maps and the zoning. I passed it out to you. I would like to go over that first, because some clarification needs to be made. So if you all have your use application. Okay. If we start out with line 1. On line 1 it says land use change type. Please check 1. And the conditional use permit is checked, which is correct. Line 2. Land use change is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, future land use map. Now, in this particular situation, we have the criteria for 2 town zonings that go over this land, and they must be met. First, we can start with A1, and I wasn't sure if everyone would have their book. I've got mine, but A1, it's on page 15. Planning and zoning, do you find this is appropriate to allow a gravel pit in A1 zoning?
Yes.
Any discussion from any of the other P&Z members? Okay, on A1, page 15, letter P, it does allow a gravel pit, private or commercial. So we answer a yes to that part of it. Next, we go to the C1 zoning, which is the Lowland Conservancy Overlay District 1. And I ran a copy of that in case you didn't have your book with you. Page 47, it gives the permitted uses and the conditional uses for C1. Now, the permitted uses, A is agricultural uses to include crop and pasture land when conducted in accordance with SCS standards, not including the erection of buildings or structures. B, harvesting of wild crops such as wild rice, marsh hay, ferns, moss, berries, tree fruits, and tree seeds. C is forestry and management of the forests. D, wildlife preserves. E, the management of wildlife, including waterfowl, fish, and other similar lowland animals, and non-residential buildings used solely in conjunction with such activities. F is hunting, fishing, trapping, piers, docks, and boathouses. G, public and private parks, picnic areas, and similar uses. H is hiking trails and bridle paths. I, preservation of areas of scenic, historic, or scientific value. J, watershed conservation areas. K, open storage uses such as parking areas. L, uses similar and customarily incident to any of the above uses. Now, do you see that it is allowed in the permitted uses? Okay. We'll go on to the conditional uses, which is what this application is for. First, conditional use in this district is to permit the following uses only after public hearing, recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Committee, and approval of the town board. Letter A, dams, reservoirs, ponds, grass waterways, water storage, and primary facilities. B, power plants, deriving their power from the flow of water and transmission lines and other facilities accessory thereto. C, utilities such as, but not restricted to, telephone, telegraph, power, or other transmission lines. D, relocation of any water source. E, filling, drainage, or dredging of wetlands, provided that this shall conform to any shoreland zoning ordinance enacted by Rock County pursuant to section 59.971 of the Wisconsin statutes, zoning of shorelands on navigable waters. F, removal of topsoil or peat. G, sewage disposal plants. Now, those are the conditional uses that are permitted in C1. Do you feel it fits?
No.
Okay, not in any of the aforementioned items. So, if you don't see how to apply both zonings to this property, then this has to be considered an invalid conditional use application. And you really can't go on from here. What is your feeling? I mean, do you see any?
I don't see any option other than to dismiss the conditional application. Conditional use application.
Okay, if that's the case, pardon, go ahead, John.
You need a motion?
Yes, it would be appropriate then to entertain a motion to recommend what you feel.
Maybe a motion to recommend to the board not to accept the conditional use application because there does not seem to be any way to fulfill it within conditional uses or permitted uses.
Especially you need to identify in the C1
C1
Lowland Overlay Conservancy District 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I can do, thank you.
Request that you clarify the rationale for the record. Provided that clear rationale, I think we have read that to you.
Well, in the application, if we continue on, well, I have a motion on the floor though.
Just that the motion, just that the motion should include the rationale.
The rationale.
That's where you believe that you'd be required to give.
Well, actually, with the motion that I did make, it did state that it did not conform to the C1 Conservancy, to any of it, whether permitted uses or conditional uses. So that would be our rationale for rejecting the application.
Okay.
And you also have our town attorney here available for any consultation you need on any detail and language to help you make that definition or statement.
As long as the basis for denial, recommending denial, is that the proposed use does not fit within the conditional uses set forth under the C1's overlay district, I think that's satisfactory.
Okay. Motion by Scott, seconded by John. Yes, and I'm going to poll the P&Z members on their vote. Scott, how do you vote?
Nay.
No, you
Yay. Yay, actually, yay to my own, yeah. I'm defeating my own motion here. Okay, yay. Yay.
John?
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, and I vote aye. So the Motion is unanimous by those present, and I will say that Charles Roosh is on work assignment in Minnesota, so he is not able to be here tonight. So it's unanimous to recommend denial of the application to the town board because of not meeting the criteria in the C1 district.
And for the town board, you've heard the recommendation of planning and zoning. What are your wishes for proceeding?
I move to accept the recommendation of the P&Z.
Second. Motion by Beth, seconded by Leonard, to accept the recommendation of planning and zoning. Any further discussion on the motion? And I'll call for the roll vote. Leonard, how do you vote? Aye. Beth?
Aye.
Marion?
Aye.
Motion carries. Majority vote there. That takes care of that.